a brighter way of life.
Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. Our stories today. Later this afternoon, President Trump will participate in a swearing-in ceremony for the Secretary of the Navy. We'll bring you that event live. And could there be peace between President Trump and his former advisor Elon Musk after their intense and public feud? We have updates on the aftermath. As debate spirals around the GOP's big budget bill, the White House launches a website in an attempt to show Americans how the bill will save their tax dollars. The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to greenlight efforts to lay off more than 1,300 Education Department employees. Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party is increasingly using covert and sophisticated tactics to infiltrate U.S. institutions. Have U.S. actions kept pace with Chinese state-backed interference? We talked to an expert. And at least 4 people have been reported dead in Kyiv after an intense missile and drone barrage. Ukraine says hundreds of drones came in overnight, allegedly targeting civilians.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. Our top story today, the job market held steady last month. The Labor Department says employers added 139,000 jobs in May, and this is stronger than the 130,000 economists had expected. The unemployment rate remained just over 4%. Wages rose nearly 0.5% from April and are up almost 4% compared to a year ago. Healthcare saw the biggest job gains, while the federal government cut more than 20,000 positions, which is its sharpest decline since 2020. So far this year, job growth is averaging about 144,000 a month, which is down from 168,000 last year. The Labor Department also reported job openings unexpectedly rose to nearly 7.5 million in April. Meanwhile, new jobless claims rose last week to the highest level in 8 months, but still remaining low by historical standards. Now, if you're in the market for a new car, here's some good news for you. Car prices are holding steady despite tariffs on imported cars and car parts. New data from Edmunds.com shows the average price paid for new cars fell 0.2% in May compared to April. The slight dip came despite higher sticker prices from automakers, which rose 0.2% last month. Most of the cars sold in May arrived at U.S. dealerships before the tariffs on cars and car parts took effect. With consumer confidence low and interest rates high, demand for car sales has softened recently, and car dealers are likely more willing to negotiate. The alliance between President Trump and Elon Musk took a sharp and public turn for the worse yesterday. The president now threatening to revoke Musk's government contracts, and the billionaire says Trump was ungrateful for his help. Here's NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore.
And President Trump's relationship with Elon Musk went downhill fast on Thursday as Trump broke days of silence and unloaded on Musk, saying he's really disappointed in Elon. It comes after Elon Musk called Trump's big beautiful bill a disgusting abomination, adding that it's going to add to the national deficit.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
And Trump suggests that Musk pulled in 180 because the bill would slash credits for electric vehicles and because he just pulled a nomination for a Musk ally to lead NASA.
Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate.
Meanwhile, just a few weeks ago, as Musk was leaving Doge, the two lavished praise on each other.
He's done a fantastic job. He didn't need this. He didn't need it.
The sudden open feud turned more drastic as the two men took the fight on Thursday to their own social media platforms. As Trump suggests,
he actually went up and campaigned for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania East anyway.
Musk saying on X, quote, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Such ingratitude." Musk spent hundreds of millions of dollars backing Trump's 2024 campaign while personally rallying for him in swing states. In the first few months of the administration, Trump gave Musk massive power in slashing the federal workforce until Musk's 130-day tenure came to an end as a special government employee. But on Thursday, Trump says he asked Musk to leave, as Musk was, quote, "wearing thin." In a more solid threat, Trump on Truth Social calls terminating Musk's governmental subsidies and contracts the easiest way to save money in our budget. Musk responds by announcing that SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. If Trump follows through on his threat on ending Musk's contract, it would have a massive impact for Musk's companies. Last year, Musk companies, including SpaceX, were promised $3 billion across nearly 100 different contracts with 17 federal agencies. Reporting from the White House, Iris Tao, NTD News.
Now, Elon Musk clarified last night that his company SpaceX will not decommission its Dragon spacecraft, and this came just hours after he had said that the company would start decommissioning it. SpaceX is considered vital to NASA's ability to send crew and supplies to and from the International Space Station. Now, just a bit more on the feud between President Trump and Elon Musk. The White House called Musk's claim that Trump is in the Epstein files an unfortunate episode. In a post on X, the billionaire and former head of Doge added that is the real reason they have not been made public. Musk was referencing the files that the Attorney General began releasing in February related to the sex trafficking case against financier Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein died by suicide in 2019 while awaiting trial. Musk has not provided any evidence to support his claim. The president's name did appear in flight logs from Epstein's plane, but a mere mention in the files does not indicate any wrongdoing or connection to Epstein's crimes. Musk also said yes to a post that said Trump should be impeached, but there seems to be some signs of cooling in the public feud. Hedge fund manager Bill Ackman suggested on X that Trump and Musk should, quote, "make peace for the benefit of our great country." Musk responded saying, "You're not wrong." A Political report said White House aides scheduled a call between Trump and Musk for today. But according to NBC, citing White House Chief of Staff Susie Willis, there are no plans for such a call right now. Trump told CNN this morning that he is, quote, "not even thinking about Elon," adding, "the poor guy's got a problem." Trump also said he won't be speaking to Musk for a while, but wished him well. The public feud hammered shares of Tesla. The stock closed down more than 14% yesterday, but gained back some ground this morning. Speaker Mike Johnson also weighed in this morning. He said he's optimistic the Trump-Musk relationship can be salvaged. Take a listen.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. So still no phone call with Mr. Musk?
We've been exchanging text messages, but I'm not going to get into the details of what we're discussing. He's a friend trying to get everybody to guess.
Do you think his relationship with Trump is salvageable at this point? Things have turned kind of personal.
Yeah, I believe in redemption, and I think it'll all work out.
Senators are working to go through changes to the big budget bill. Critics continue to surface, and President Trump doubles down. Now the White House launched a website in an effort to show Americans how the bill will save their tax dollars. NTD's Melina Weisskopf reports.
Back and forth continues between President Trump and Elon Musk. Disagreements over the GOP's big budget bill. Republican lawmakers are trying to put out the fire to preserve support for the bill.
I just want to answer any questions Elon has and make sure he fully understands this is not a spending bill, it's a budget reconciliation bill, and we're achieving the largest tax cuts in history, the largest savings in history, and real reforms to the programs that people rely upon.
Speaker Johnson and other bill supporters aim to reassure skeptics that the budget bill is the first of many that will address spending cuts.
But Elon is absolutely right that we need to make the bill better, and I think the Senate is going to. We need to cut more spending, and I think the Senate is going to.
The White House this week released the first rescissions package, which is a direct result of Elon's work on Doge. We need more of that to cut spending and then cut spending in the upcoming appropriations packages. That's where we do that. This is about extending tax cuts on the people who need it the most.
But even ahead of Musk's public criticism of the bill, some GOP fiscal hawks were not on board.
I want to get to yes, but to get to yes, I need what I always need. I need a commitment to return to a reasonable pre-pandemic level of spending.
Pushback like this could be detrimental to the bill's success, as Republicans won't have any Democrat votes.
This is a big bill, as the president says. It's only beautiful if you're a billionaire. For the rest of America, it is a great betrayal. So in combo, this is a big tax cut for wealthy Americans and a big tax increase for everybody else.
To try to dispel claims that the bill will raise taxes on the working class, the White House on Thursday unveiled a new website. It has a tool meant to show each person how much money they'll save in tax dollars from the bill's provisions. No tax on tips and no tax on overtime.
What we're talking about here is a labor stimulus. We're bringing people off the sidelines into the workforce and making sure that people who do work more get paid more.
Senators are currently working through making changes to the bill. Several senators are making demands of Senate leadership related to Medicaid and food stamp cuts and deficit reduction. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
A Japanese company has halted construction on a $1.6 billion battery plant for electric BMWs. The firm cited policy and market uncertainty in its decision to put its South Carolina factory on hold. Japan's Automotive Energy Supply Corporation didn't specify what those problems are. The company promised to restart construction, although it didn't say when. It also vowed to keep its commitment to hire 1,600 workers. The corporation has already rolled back its South Carolina operations. Earlier this year, the company scrapped plans for a second site in the state, saying that its first plant should be able to handle BMW's demand. The Japanese battery manufacturer currently has a plant in Tennessee and is building another in Kentucky. All right, joining us now to discuss China's infiltration tactics on U.S. institutions is Adam Savitt, Director, China Policy Initiative at America First Policy Institute. Good afternoon, Adam. So recently, a Chinese researcher accused of smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen into the U.S. appeared in court, and officials allege that the defendant admitted to smuggling this noxious fungus, which is reportedly considered a potential agro-terrorism weapon, and for research at a Michigan University lab. So if this researcher is convicted, how could this outcome impact American university ties to Chinese nationals under this administration?
I hope at the very least it puts a lot of thought into the heads of university administrators and donors and fellow students and, raises some significant alarms. I hope it also breaks some of the partnerships, beyond the students that are on our universities. There are university partnerships between U.S. public universities and Chinese universities that are tied to the PLA. And I hate to name and shame, but this University of Michigan, this is the third time that they've had a significant high-profile incident like this. 5 Chinese students at University of Michigan were caught outside of a National Guard base. Not any National Guard base. This is where U.S. troops train Taiwanese troops. So this is very sensitive. They claimed that they were media, but they were found to be students who were just sort of wandering around up there and probably reconnoitering. And then also last year in 2024, a UMich student was found voting in the U.S. elections. A non-citizen was voting in the U.S. elections. And recently that citizen was able to leave the country. And then, of course, then we have this pathogen, this researcher and her boyfriend who were engaged in research. So this is sort of a case study that underlines what's happening, unfortunately, across the country.
And can you just reiterate the point of how significant is it that she's a member of the CCP and a fellow at a U.S. university? Can you speak to that?
It's very significant, but it's also predictable, because here's the thing. Many of these Chinese students, or perhaps most, are privileged members of Chinese society, so they may be sons and daughters of Chinese Communist Party members. And recently it was very important that Secretary of State Marco Rubio set out a new policy, or at least a new memorandum, a new declaration that he would be looking to expel Chinese students who are members of the CCP or engaged in critical fields of study. And this researcher checks both of those boxes. And unfortunately, this is common with the population we find here. Again, they're privileged members of Chinese society. Many of them are CCP members, and they are disproportionately engaged in STEM fields, robotics, AI, pathogens, as this student was. And so this is particularly dangerous, the combination of that political affiliation and the critical and sensitive nature of what they're studying.
And Adam, if we may, can we establish a baseline here? How would you describe the Chinese Communist Party's overall strategy when it comes to influencing or infiltrating institutions in the United States?
I would call it across the board. I would call it all of the above, everything from our state government. So let's just use that example. In New York State, under governors both Hochul and Cuomo, there was a high-ranking official in the governor's office who was apparently editing, writing, having control over the speeches that the governors were making, would prevent them from making positive comments about Taiwan, for example, would bring them into meetings with CCP cutout groups based in the United States, ostensibly U.S. organizations, but with CCP ties. So that's just one example.
And as well, Adam, can you talk to the fact that, do you think U.S. actions, and you mentioned one response earlier, do you think U.S. actions have kept pace with the evolving nature of Chinese state-backed interference? For example, as well, the State Department saying that it's going to expand scrutiny of all Chinese visa holders in the U.S. Is that going to help?
It's definitely going to help. You know, I won't make it an across-the-board comment that we are keeping up with them, because almost by definition, it's impossible, because every single, pathway that we plug or block, they try to find another pathway. But the important part is closing as many gaps as we can. And I do have more faith now that we have many Trump administration appointees in place, with more to come. In the Justice Department, in the intelligence agencies. There's been talk after this terrible infiltration here that they may revive the China Initiative at the DOJ, which was a dedicated program, a dedicated office that would handle this sort of case. So at least there's a particular focus on it. I do have faith that these alarms are being raised and that policies will be put in place. And as you mentioned, the Secretary of State Rubio's declaration is a wonderful indication of this.
So if left unchecked, Adam, what is the long-term risk of CCP influence?
Well, if literally left unchecked, the long-term risk is that all of our government institutions, our media institutions, our education institutions are absolutely vulnerable to infiltration, penetration. I gave you the example in New York, governor's mansion. Let's take another example that we at AFPI and that I've been directly engaged in. That is the acquisition of property, agricultural land, or land near military installations, sensitive infrastructure like water treatment plants, electrical plants, dams, etc. In many states, this is not disallowed for Chinese citizens to own this sort of land. So, we've been going state by state. There's all different sorts of creative laws that are trying to address this problem. But, again, this is another example of what should have been a glaring gap, but for many decades, this went unnoticed. And these are the things, the first step is awareness. The next step is activism. And then the other step is policy. We need to get these policies in place and to enforce them.
Okay, just one last question. And if you could just elaborate and expand on that, what can the people do?
Well, they can get engaged in those state level policies. It's not just the land question. There's also bills out there that are protecting infrastructure from, for example, running a scenario of a Taiwan war, what that would do to our supply chains at the state level, protecting yourself at the state level like that. Measures that are against lobbying politicians, against gifts to universities. Whether that's another aspect of the university problem, which is that funding comes in from China and influences the direction of the universities. Also, student associations on the campuses themselves are intimidating. Well, I should say, actually, your audience are probably familiar with Confucius Institutes, those are largely defunct, and that's largely due to activism, not necessarily a law in place. So if you get involved locally at your university, in your town, and expose what's going on, you can actually make these changes before having to resort to laws and executive orders.
Well, Adam, as always, well said, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Don. Always good to be on.
Coming up, a moment of reflection in Normandy. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and France's Defense Minister led a ceremony honoring those who stormed the beaches of Normandy 81 years ago. That and more after the break.
Kids love it. Parents trust it. Obviously. Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjian campus courses led by expert educators. This is spectacular. Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more. Wow. All while having fun. Perfect. Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
Food. It fuels our bodies, nourishes our spirits, and brings us together. Because we all need nutritious food to thrive.
Food gives me energy and it also helps me focus.
But not everyone knows where their next meal is coming from. And 1 in 7 people in America face hunger. It's tougher than ever for too many of us. But the simple truth is, ending hunger is possible, and it starts with you. Call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, to help families in your community facing hunger. Feeding America works from coast to coast with partner food banks, food pantries, and meal programs. Your monthly gift delivers food where it's needed most, puts fresh food on the table, and helps kids have healthy meals all year round, even when school is out.
You can see the difference with the kids when they're full. Food is everything.
Please call the number on your screen or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org. Give $19 a month. Your first gift can double in impact. And we'll send you this free canvas grocery bag as a reminder of how you're helping to end hunger for good.
When it comes down to it, it's about taking care of your family first and the loved ones that you need to provide for.
Food donations help me tremendously, and I'm very grateful for the food bank.
I have hope. The simple truth is, ending hunger in America is possible. You can help make it happen. The need is urgent. Call or go online now to helpfeedingamerica.org, and your gift can double in impact.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure, natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
Today marks 81 years since the D-Day landings in Normandy. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth led a commemoration ceremony along with France's defense minister. Here's more on that tribute.
On June 6, 1944, more than 150,000 Allied soldiers arrived in France by sea and air to drive out the forces of Nazi Germany.
This day, June the 6th, is the price of freedom. We remember the losses, we celebrate the victories, we rededicate ourselves to the fight for liberty, security, and peace. To walk over or run, if you can, carrying equipment over that open beach as shells and bullets thunder around you again and again, I cannot imagine. Could you do that? Could I? could we.
D-Day was the assault phase of the Allied invasion of continental Europe. It marked a decisive step in the liberation of Europe from German forces during the Second World War. Veterans took part in the ceremony in Normandy's American cemetery that overlooks Omaha Beach. It still bears the scars of the fighting in history's largest amphibious invasion. 73,000 Allied forces were killed and 153,000 were wounded.
I think war is disgusting, absolutely disgusting.
We must ensure that our children and our grandchildren know what these men did, that they understand.
Tens of thousands of onlookers are expected to attend the commemorations. It includes parachute jumps, remembrance ceremonies, parades, and historical reenactments. Many will be there to cheer the ever-dwindling number of surviving veterans in their late 90s and older. All will remember the thousands who died.
In a new Supreme Court filing today, the Trump administration is asking the justices to allow for Education Department layoffs to continue while the case proceeds. The request comes in the face of a pair of lawsuits brought by a group of 20 states, school districts, and teachers' unions. They're challenging the administration's plan to permanently close the department. A federal judge in Massachusetts blocked the layoffs, finding that it would further facilitate the president's effort to close the department, which he said would violate the separation of powers. In April, the High Court allowed the government to cancel millions of dollars in education grants related to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The Justice Department is asking the court for emergency relief. And an update now on the ongoing dispute between the Trump administration and Harvard University. A federal judge yesterday temporarily blocked President Trump's directive suspending new foreign student visas at the Ivy League institution. The justice ruled that barring international students over the next 6 months before the courts can fully review the case would cause, quote, immediate and irreparable injury. This marks the second time in recent weeks that Judge Allison Burroughs has blocked Trump from targeting Harvard's international student population, which accounts for more than a quarter of its enrollment. President Trump told reporters he's not targeting all foreign students, just those who may pose security risks. He said his administration welcomes international students but insists they must be properly vetted. President Trump's directive banning citizens from 12 countries includes exceptions for athletes. Officials say they're confident the games continue to have the full backing of the administration.
The travel ban that was announced, the important thing there for us is that the federal government and this administration importance of the Olympics and the games, and there is a carve out in the order in the travel ban that allows for and assures that there will be access to the games, the Olympics, for the athletes and their families and the officials. We will be able to have a wide open games.
Trump signed the proclamation on Wednesday as part of an immigration crackdown he said was needed to protect against foreign terrorists and other security threats. The countries affected by the travel ban include Afghanistan, Iran, Libya, and others. The entry of people from 7 other countries, including Cuba and Venezuela, will be partially restricted. The U.S., along with Canada and Mexico, will also host the FIFA World Cup in 2026. Trump said last month that he wanted people traveling to the U.S. for the World Cup to have a seamless experience during their visit. Sam's Club is cutting over 40 ingredients from its members' Mark brand. The retailer, owned by Walmart, says the changes will happen by year's end. This includes artificial colors and aspartame. It's part of a program called Made Without. The goal is to match evolving customer diets as more people, especially Gen Z and millennials, focus on health. This comes a few months after Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced plans to remove artificial food dyes from U.S. foods. It's part of a larger effort to address chronic health problems like obesity in Americans. Sam's Club has already introduced cookies and snacks without artificial colors. And staying on Walmart, the retailer is working to make the promise of drone delivery a reality for more customers. The company announced it's expanding the option to 100 new stores over the next several months. They're in Atlanta, Houston, Orlando, Tampa, and Charlotte. Right now, only shoppers near Walmart headquarters in Bentonville and in Dallas-Fort Worth can get the service. Drone delivery has been a buzz for many years, but both Amazon and Walmart have struggled to make it work on a large scale. Walmart's expansion will be through the drone company Wing, which is owned by Google parent Alphabet. Right now, the store charges $20 for drone deliveries. It's free for Walmart Plus customers, but the company says that's for a limited time. Walmart says drones can deliver select items in as little as 30 minutes. Homeland Security has stepped up efforts on two major fronts, cracking down on international drug trafficking and pulling the plug on a controversial air travel surveillance program. Here's more on that story.
Federal authorities say they've seized over 50,000 kilograms, that's more than 100,000 pounds, of methamphetamine ingredients at the port of Long Beach. They say the shipment, which originated in China, was bound for the notorious Sinaloa cartel, a major player in global drug trafficking operations. Authorities say the chemicals, specifically dicumyl peroxide, are used to make meth and other narcotics. The seizure is the latest win in a years-long effort to choke off the cartel's chemical supply chain. Immigration and Customs Enforcement credits a 2019 initiative with giving investigators the tools to intercept suspicious shipments and track them from overseas. ICE Special Agent Chad Plant says the strategy is a game-changer in the battle against cartels that have, in his words, left addiction, death, and despair in their wake. Authorities say that initiative has already stopped more than 3 million pounds of chemicals from reaching Mexican drug labs and led to the dismantling of 13 Sinaloa-operated labs since January. This bust comes a day after another seizure at Port Everglades near Miami. Plants warns traffickers are testing new smuggling routes, but federal agents are adapting quickly to close them down. Meanwhile, Homeland Security is scrapping a controversial TSA surveillance program that critics say unfairly targeted Americans based on politics. Known as Quiet Skies, the program was launched under President Obama to flag high-risk travelers. But Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says it has morphed into a tool for political profiling.
It has failed to stop a single terrorist attack, while it costs U.S. taxpayers roughly about $200 million a year.
The department says documents reveal the program allegedly spared political elites, sports people, and favored journalists, while flagging political opponents. In response, the ranking member of the Committee on Homeland Security, Congressman Benny Thompson, accused Noem of politicizing the Department of Homeland Security. While Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard once flagged on the TSA program herself, praised the move and called it a step toward restoring the trust of the American people.
Coming up, Russia reportedly launches a major attack on Ukraine's capital city. Kyiv says most of the casualties are first responders who had rushed to the scene of one of the strikes. That and more when we come back after the break.
Big things are happening at Mathis Homes. Save all summer long with price drop alerts all over the store. Their suppliers have cut prices and they're passing those savings on to you. Get new lower prices with top name recliners as low as $199. And huge markdowns on hundreds of sofas in all the latest styles. Now's your chance to save big for every room in your house. There's something for everyone. Plus, get 12-month no-interest financing and free delivery. Check out these price drop alerts and save at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
There's a whirlwind of emotion and activity going on in this painting. And there's chaos all around and threat from below. The walls surrounding her, and they're anything but unmoved. They're moving all the time, and we sense that. But this little girl remains unmoved.
She's in quite a perilous situation, but she's completely strong and serene, and she's actually meditating. It was very, very well liked because no matter what culture or what sort of walk of life you're from, I think people, they see it and they immediately understand what that energy, what that message is, and they're drawn to it because everybody kind of needs a little bit of that in their own life, of, you know, the steadfast calmness and something to hold on to. It's definitely an inner peace in the midst of something very chaotic, and for a lot of people right now, the whole world is very, very chaotic. So I guess that's another reason why so many people are very drawn to this.
Hi, I'm Ty Pennington, here for Choice Home Warranty. They protect my home from expensive repairs, and they can do the same for you. No matter if it's your refrigerator, plumbing, or more than 20 other home systems and appliances, Choice Home Warranty has saved millions of homeowners a whole lot of money. For a low monthly fee, you get their nationwide network of trusted local technicians with plans that cover repairs and replacements done quickly and the right way. No more headaches searching for technicians. No more budget-breaking chaos. Just a peace of mind of having Choice Home Warranty at your service. Call Home Warranty now and save big with their special offer of your first month free and free limited roof coverage. Call now.
Call Choice Home Warranty for your free personalized quote and to get your first month free. Call in the next 5 minutes, and as our special offer, you'll receive free limited roof coverage. Call now to lock in your rate and save big. Call 800-210-6422. 800-210-6422.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz today discussed his White House meeting with President Trump. Merz says the Trump administration is open to discussion and returned confidence that Washington remains committed to NATO.
Yesterday, in the meeting at the Oval Office, I expressed a distinctly different position on the topic of Ukraine than the one Trump had taken. And not only was there no objection, but we discussed it in detail again over lunch.
Merz said he also met with senators on Capitol Hill, urging them to recognize the scale of Russian rearmament. Merz emphasized the need for partnership over rivalries, saying authoritarian systems have subordinates while democracies have partners. He also pushed back on public scolding of Trump, urging Europeans to engage with him directly rather than criticize from a distance. Citing economic ties, Merz highlighted that his personal car, a German BMW assembled in South Carolina, supports jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. White House advisor Peter Navarro said a meeting between the Trump administration and Chinese officials is expected to happen within 7 days. Here he is addressing reporters.
There was a clear mandate between and understanding between the two presidents, and we expect that meeting will take place within 7 days.
The U.S. and EU are holding trade talks in Paris regarding new tariffs on European steel. However, the negotiations face challenges. NTD's international correspondent David Vivez reports from Paris.
EU Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič met with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Thursday in hopes of securing an exemption. These negotiations are running under complicated timing, as President Trump has said 50% tariffs on EU metals would be reinstated by June 9th. The European Commission has said it is ready to retaliate, pointing to a $23 billion counter-tariff package already approved and on standby. However, negotiations will be challenging for U.S. administration in dealing with EU officials. Unlike the United States, where there's a Secretary of Commerce, a Secretary of Treasury, and a trade representative who all report to the President, the EU Commission works as a bureaucracy with its own rules. And few Europeans themselves may know what Brussels is up to in the trade talks. The majority of industries in Europe don't know what's negotiated on their behalf by the EU Commission.
When you deal with the European Union, you're dealing with a 27-member union, 27 different languages, and some, let's say, powers of capacity that are retained by individual states and others, and trade is one of those, that are covered by the European Commission. Donald Trump doesn't like bureaucracy, and the EU is a bureaucracy. It deals with people. for good or bad reasons.
President Trump's U.S. agreement on steel with the U.K. last month marked a first step in successful negotiations over tariffs. However, Trump will need to adopt a new strategy with the EU Commission, Olivier says.
Donald Trump would much rather reach a single deal with Italy, a single deal with France, a single deal with Germany than a deal with the EU as a whole. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have a choice.
In the global picture, the trade deficit with the EU isn't by itself a major challenge. Olivier says Trump's move on tariffs targeting the EU isn't just about fixing a balanced deficit between what the US and EU buy and sell to one another.
There is a trade deficit in goods, about $200 billion, but the US has a trade surplus in services of about $150 billion, meaning that the trade deficit is only $50 billion. $50 billion out of $1.6 trillion. 1.6 trillion total trade volume is really not that much. So I don't think that the EU and the US have the, shall I say, the most challenging relationship in that regard.
Besides encouraging industries to move production to the United States, new U.S. tariffs aim to bolster the U.S. domestic industry, particularly steel and aluminum production. Olivier says another stake in EU-U.S. negotiations lies in Trump's policies toward China.
The real target of all those tariffs is China. And the US has a huge trade deficit with China. It is trying to correct it. It is trying to open up China. It is trying to alter the way outside of trade and in the wider world of geopolitics. So he would like for the Europeans to go a lot more along with his outlook towards China.
If negotiations aren't satisfactory for the EU, it might impose counter tariffs on U.S. goods by July 14th. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
At least 4 people are reported dead in Kyiv after an intense missile and drone barrage. Ukraine says hundreds of drones were unleashed on its capital city. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pazdar has the war update.
Residential buildings in Kiev took damage on Friday after a reported attack by Russia. Moscow reportedly launched over 400 drones and 40 missiles at Ukraine's capital city and other regions. That's according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who says the strikes damaged city infrastructure, hotels and more. Officials say at least 3 of the casualties were first responders who had rushed to the scene of one of the strikes. Not just Kiev, but other cities report being hit as well. Video posted on social media shows large explosions in the western city of Ternopil. Zelensky is now calling on Western allies to impose more sanctions on Russia.
Please, I ask you to support all the efforts to put pressure on Russia, including political and economic pressure. Please urge for new effective sanctions against Russia.
Russia also commented on Friday's attacks. A spokesman says the strikes come in response to an attack by Kiev on a passenger train in Russia, which reportedly killed multiple civilians. Kiev has not taken responsibility for the attack.
So if you have carefully read the statement by our defense ministry, it said that the strikes were carried out in response to terrorist attacks by the Kiev regime.
Russian officials also say that Moscow only struck military and military-related targets in Friday's attack, not civilian targets. Arian Pazdar, NTD News.
The Trump administration has imposed sanctions on 4 judges at the International Criminal Court. The sanctions were in response to the court's investigation into alleged war crimes by Israel and its war against Hamas. It also has to do with the tribunal's previous decision to open a case into alleged war crimes by U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Here's more.
A statement by Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the 4 judges had, quote, actively engaged in the ICC's illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America or our close ally, Israel. The ICC slammed the move, saying it was an attempt to undermine the independence of the court. The investigation into alleged war crimes by American troops in Afghanistan was opened in 2020. Two of the judges sanctioned on Thursday were involved in an appeals chamber decision that allowed the ICC prosecutor to open the investigation. Rubio said the other two judges last November ruled to authorize the arrest warrant against Netanyahu and former Israeli Defense Chief Yoav Gallant for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity during the Gaza conflict. ICC judges also issued an arrest warrant for Hamas leader Ibrahim al-Masri at that time. The ICC has international jurisdiction to prosecute genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes in member states or if a situation is referred by the UN Security Council. The United States, China, Russia, and Israel are not members. The new sanctions come at a difficult time for the court, which is already reeling from earlier U.S. sanctions against its chief prosecutor, Karim Khan. Last month, Khan temporarily stepped aside amid a United Nations investigation into his alleged sexual misconduct.
Prominent Hong Kong activist Joshua Wong was arrested again. He was already serving a sentence and was set to be released in 2027. Authorities are charging him with new offenses under the Beijing-imposed national security law. Charge sheets seen by Reuters accuses him of conspiring with people outside China to ask for sanctions or blockades on China or Hong Kong. The 28-year-old was serving a sentence under the same law after he participated in a primary election that authorities deemed unofficial. The case was adjourned to August before returning to custody. He waved, shrugged, and shook his head in the direction of the public gallery. The national security law carries penalties as severe as life imprisonment. The Chinese regime imposed the law on former British colony in 2020. The law has been criticized as a tool to suppress free speech and dissent. The Japanese company iSpace said that its lunar lander probably crashed onto the moon's surface while trying to land today. This is the second failure following a failed mission 2 years ago. Lunar lander Resilience could not decelerate fast enough as it approached the moon. The company said that they have not been able to communicate with the spacecraft after a likely hard landing. The live stream of the attempted landing showed Resilience's flight data was lost less than 2 minutes before the planned touchdown time. The company had hoped to celebrate a successful landing, but a room of more than 500 iSpace employees, shareholders, sponsors, and government officials abruptly fell silent during a public viewing event in Tokyo. Tokyo-based iSpace had hoped to join U.S. firms as companies that have accomplished commercial landings amid a global race for the moon. This includes state-run missions from China and India. A successful mission would have made iSpace the first company outside the U.S. to achieve a moon landing. Coming up, Hollywood legend Tom Cruise has yet another stunt-related honor. He is now a Guinness World Record holder. That and more after the break.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure, natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
All throughout your home, appliances and systems just wait for the worst time to break down and leave you with expensive repairs. Unless you have a plan from Choice Home Warranty.
All home appliances and systems have a breakdown clock, and when it expires, it will cost hundreds and potentially even thousands of dollars to fix or replace. That's why every homeowner should have a plan with Choice Home Warranty, like I do. For a low monthly fee, a Choice Home Warranty plan will cover your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, appliances, and more. Don't let an unexpected repair wreck your budget. With Choice Home Warranty, that covered repair is fixed or replaced for you.
Choice Home Warranty has been a great company to work with, and they've taken care of us. I would suggest anybody who lives in a home not to be in a home without them.
Avoid the ticking clock of home appliances and systems breaking down with a plan from Choice Home Warranty. Call now to get your first month free. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll give you $120 off your first year of coverage. That's $200 in total savings.
With a nationwide network of over 25,000 technicians, I don't worry about how my next breakdown will be handled. With a click of a button, my claim is filed, and Choice Home Warranty starts the clock. They do the legwork, hiring the right technician and handling the cost of covered repairs and replacements. And check this out. For a limited time, you can get 1 month of coverage free. Did you hear me? Free. You can't beat that deal with a sledgehammer. But hurry, this offer is ticking away. Once the clock hits 0, poof, it's gone.
Don't fear the breakdown clock. Get a plan from Choice Home Warranty and get round-the-clock money-saving protection you can count on. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll give you $120 off your first year of coverage, plus get your first month free. This offer won't last long.
Get your home protected. Call now.
Don't wait for an appliance or system to break down. Call before that happens. Call 800-983-3523. 800-983-3523.
Kids love it. Parents trust it. Obviously. Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjion Campus courses led by expert educators. This is spectacular. Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more. Wow. All while having fun. Perfect. Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
The man accused of carrying out an anti-Semitic attack in Boulder, Colorado is facing nearly 120 charges, including 28 counts of attempted murder. Here are the details.
This is People versus Mohammed Soliman.
Appearing behind thick glass with hands and feet shackled, Egyptian national Mohammed Soliman, who was accused of firebombing a Colorado march, was formally charged in state court Thursday. He faces well over 600 years in prison if convicted on 28 counts of attempted murder. Those are just a portion of charges confirmed against him Thursday, as District Judge Nancy Salamone presided over the hearing.
The court accepts the waiver of formal advisement, and 118 charges were filed.
The rest of the charges include assault, use of incendiary devices, and animal cruelty. On Thursday, Soliman agreed to his next court date set for July 15th. He made no other comments or gestures and was not asked to enter a plea. Prosecutors say that Soliman threw Molotov cocktails and yelled "Free Palestine" at people taking part in an event that aimed to draw attention to hostages seized during Hamas's 2023 attack on Israel. Soliman entered the U.S. on a tourist visa in 2022. Federal officials say he overstayed that tourist visa and was in the country illegally. His family, including his wife, 2 teenagers, and 3 younger children, were taken into custody on Tuesday and may be deported, though a federal judge on Wednesday blocked their immediate removal. Soliman also faces federal hate crimes charges that carry a life sentence if he is convicted. He is scheduled to appear in federal court on Friday.
The U.S. Army is preparing for a military parade on June 14th in Washington, D.C. It's in celebration of the Army's 250th anniversary. Officials say the parade will feature dozens of tanks and Bradley and Stryker fighting vehicles, as well as howitzers and other artillery pieces. A non-military official involved in the planning said the parade is expected to bring roughly 7 million pounds of military hardware. Most of the vehicles will arrive by train from Texas to Jessup, Maryland early next week. They will then be offloaded onto flatbed trucks for transport to D.C. The effort has sparked concerns about how the roads in D.C. will fare under the literal weight. The Army Corps of Engineers has started reinforcing the roads along the parade route. Officials estimate the cost of the parade could be as high as $45 million. Divine intervention in our nation's founding, a new docudrama titled The American Miracle, made its debut this week at the Kennedy Center. NTD's Sam Wong was at the red carpet to speak to the cast and crew.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
The genesis of a nation with the help of divine power. A red carpet premiere for The American Miracle was held at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. The tagline, "Our nation is no accident."
You can say America's a happy accident.
But a pattern of happy accidents is still a pattern.
Look at people from all over the world are trying to become a part of this nation, and there's a reason. It's because of the liberties. And those liberties, in the end, the founders saw that those liberties really came from a power higher than a king, and it was a power from God.
From commanding the Continental Army under extreme conditions to drafting some of the most important documents in U.S. history, The American Miracle explores the role of divine providence in our nation's origin. Dr. Ben Carson served as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development during the first Trump administration. He says the film has an important message for all Americans.
It's impossible for a ragtag bunch of militiamen to defeat the most powerful military force on earth without some intervention. And this helps to remind us that we don't have to try to be like everybody else. We're not like everybody else. We're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Featuring a large cast, The American Miracle is a multi-year effort put together by both historians and filmmakers.
This is a labor of love that's 3 years in the making, and it's wonderful to see the culmination tonight when we actually have a premiere with all of these people who came, who wanted to see it. It's just fantastic.
I hope it gets into every single school of all ages, not just college kids. It's got to go to kindergarten kids. We got to let these kids know why they have the opportunity to be in the greatest country in the world.
The docudrama comes in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Scholars say it's crucial to reflect on the founding principles that helped shape the world's most powerful nation.
It's not just America's 250th, it's the culture that we have right now. Making sure that we go back to basics and understand what our founding fathers were trying to get us to do. That social contract that they envisioned, that would be our Constitution, that embodies what we as a people, how we want to be governed.
The American Miracle will be screened nationwide in selected theaters on June 9th, 10th, and 11th. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Sam Wang, NTD News.
And President Trump just announced a high-level meeting with China next week. On Truth Social, President Trump said Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer will meet with Chinese officials on Monday, June 9th. The talks will focus on the ongoing trade deal. Trump wrote, quote, "The meeting should go very well." Now, Tom Cruise isn't just an action star, he is now a record holder. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, Cruise holds the title for the most burning parachute jumps by an individual. He secured the record by skydiving out of the helicopter with his burning parachute 16 times. He did this while filming Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. In a statement, the editor-in-chief of Guinness World Records says Cruise's success is due in part to his, quote, "pushing the boundaries of what a leading man can do." The United Kingdom's Whipsnade Zoo is welcoming a new addition. A rare Bactrian camel calf was born there on May 18th. The baby boy is yet to be named. He was born following a 13-month pregnancy by first-time mother Orla. He will join his 1-year-old half-sister Sally, who was born in April last year. The baby camel will live with the zoo's herd of 5 adults. The zoo's camel keeper said that the calf was healthy and walking shortly after birth. Whipsnade Zoo said there may be fewer than 950 of the animals left in the deserts of China and Mongolia. The charity behind Whipsnade Zoo is supporting conservation efforts in Mongolia. This includes the Gobi Desert in the south. Wildlife groups believe there are only about 450 wild camels remaining in that region. Coming up after the break, the Department of Education announces a nationwide effort to eliminate identity theft and fraud in federal student aid programs. Mandatory identity checks for all first-year students receiving financial aid will soon take effect. We have that and more when we return.
Food.
It fuels our bodies, nourishes our spirits, and brings us together. Because we all need nutritious food to thrive.
Food gives me energy and it also helps me focus.
But not everyone knows where their next meal is coming from. And 1 in 7 people in America face hunger. It's tougher than ever for too many of us. But the simple truth is, ending hunger is possible, and it starts with you. Call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, to help families in your community facing hunger. Feeding America works from coast to coast with partner food banks, food pantries, and meal programs. Your monthly gift delivers food where it's needed most, puts fresh food on the table, and helps kids have healthy meals all year round, even when school is out.
You can see the difference with the kids when they're full. Food is everything.
Please call the number on your screen or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org. Give $19 a month. Your first gift can double an impact. And we'll send you this free canvas grocery bag as a reminder of how you're helping to end hunger for good.
When it comes down to it, it's about taking care of your family first and the loved ones that you need to provide for.
Food donations help me tremendously, and I'm very grateful for the food bank.
I have hope. The simple truth is, ending hunger in America is possible. You can help make it happen.